Wyatt Pickner, and Melissa Wheeler. Thank you all so much. They had great applications. You can see came from all parts of the country. We're so glad you could join us. And then for our chapter COBRI, it was the first time we've gotten this group together, and we have an external advisory committee, and 3 of them were our speakers, and 2 of them are going today, so we'll get to know them a little bit better. If you could please stand. Alexandra Adams, who we saw yesterday, Bert Boyer, Deidre Buchwald, Anita Kinney, and our internal advisory committee, Susan Hoover, Keith Misgibbons, Kyle Rue, and Jill Weimer. And then our chapter COBRI project mentors. As you know, the COBRI is really focused on mentoring. So we have mentors from near and far, and for Dr. Grace, Dr. Hansen, myself, and Dr. Deutsch. And I know my mentor, Renee Sieving, was here. I don't think she's arrived yet. So if you see her later, I'll just say hi. And then, of course, our CRCA External Advisory Board members have been amazing throughout the years. Rick Bergeon, Dottie Castile, Bonnie Duran, Jackie Gray, if you could, she's waving, standing. Thank you, Jackie. Spiro Manson, Russ McDonald, Tassie Parker, Dan Peterite, Chris Rhodes, Michael Sayer, Derek Tabor, Malia Villegas, Don Warren, and Jerry Utrinka, who I don't see yet either. But warm thanks to all of your input over the years. So this is where I'm going to transition a little bit, and because we're in a time of change, and given this year, the theme of this year's summit is finding your narrative. We've been doing a lot of reflecting on the past 6 years of CRCA. So as you can imagine, there were a ton of people who went into the success and building of CRCA. So as you can barely read this slide, it doesn't even cover all of the staff and partnerships from the research projects and pilot grants that everybody's hard work went into building the Collaborative Research Center for American Indian Health. Nor do these people even cover the members of the research review boards that do that critical on-the-ground work we heard about yesterday of research regulation, which is often unpaid and on top of their existing jobs and busy lives. So I wanted to thank them all so much. So although we've had many changes over the years and people leaving and new people joining, we can look back on all the memories we created and all the fun we had along the way and hard work of building tribal infrastructure for research and conducting research in social determinants of health and American Indian health. So when we reflect on what was special, it was mostly the people, as you'll see in these upcoming pictures. So if you indulge me, I'd like to, with Melissa, I'd like to tell the story of CRCA so far, and we should start at the beginning. So if these are the pictures of the Saturday, which you'll remember, Jen, when the grant was finalized, and Rhonda, where are you? This grant was really built on existing partnerships with our tribal partners and research teams, and we had 6 short weeks to pull everything together, and it was one of those rare paper submissions, so you could see how big it was, and you could tell by the end we were going a little crazy, and you can only imagine months later the elation we felt when we found out we were one of the 2 funded that year, and the other was led by a former Surgeon General. So we really embraced our underdog identity, and I think that made us work even much harder. So, and again, going through all of these pictures from the past 6 years definitely made me nostalgic, which I do love going into that. Most of the pictures were from our summit gatherings, the one time of the year that we were all together. So there's so much excitement in getting to see each other in person after all of the conference calls and emails all year. So we've had so many special moments. It was really difficult to stop adding pictures to these slides. As you heard yesterday from discussions in the tribal partner retreats and summits, these discussions in person really had that extra spark of connection and immediacy of partnership and focus and drive. So being a collaborative center in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, we are no strangers to travel. So whether that's by bus or plane, Uber, my first Uber experience, or most frequently the infamous Sanford van, which some of you will get to ride in today to the airport. One of the great things about CRCA and collaboration is seeing different viewpoints and joining together to accomplish more together than we would apart. So we look out for each other and create a shared bond in moving forward together to that shared goal. So whether that's looking good for a presentation, approaching your tribal president on the street, or eating the most amazing donuts from Tim Hortons. We've always sought out ways to incorporate traditional Native culture into the summit in special ways. We've always had an opening prayer and starting us off on the right foot in Lakota, Dakota, or Ojibwe. With Jackie Bird again yesterday, raising the bar this year, we've had several beautiful dancers, singers, and drums that have made appearances. And it was truly a great moment in the first summit in the bottom picture when we had a drum circle in the atrium shaking the roof. So right out there, it was amazing. Our executive advisory board, as I recognized them earlier, has been very helpful throughout the years, first offering guidance on how to establish this transdisciplinary center that's regional and far-reaching, and now this board is critically important as we tackle issues of sustainability and dissemination. Although it's often tough to talk about our successes, we've worked diligently to raise awareness of CRCAIH's impact, not only through peer-reviewed publications, but through radio, print, TV, website, and social media, which has grown leaps and bounds throughout the years. We know there's still much room for attention and improvement in American Indian health, and we will continue doing our best for advocating for attention and change. Although the work of our tribal nation capacity building for research was most often the thing people think of when they think of CRCAIH, the three large research project teams led by Drs. Best, Fahrenwald, and Pumala continue to make great accomplishments to the field. And we've had not only fantastic scholarship from them, but from the 15 pilot grant projects. We look forward to every pilot grant seminar series, talk, and summit to hear the research on American Indian health in wide-ranging content areas. We have been so fortunate. We've had the foremost experts in some of them, some of the foremost experts in the field grace the summit stages. Everyone gains so much from the researchers as they share their knowledge and wisdom and have their presentations archived on the website to be shared for years to come. And I've found that so helpful in the last few months introducing American Indian research leaders' work to others that I often link to their presentations.
So kind of switching gears to the last 3 years that have gone by too fast, I think back to how much has been accomplished over those years and all that I have got to be a part of. There is not enough time to share every detail as much as I would like to, so let me share a few highlights. The work of the pilot grantees, presenting their meaningful results back to the community and the seminar series, their effort and the effort and contributions of the current and past tribal partners in their communities and sharing their experiences and knowledge at various conferences and symposiums, updating their policies and procedures to reflect their tribal values, answering questions from potential researchers interested in their community, and emphasizing the need to be culturally competent and always looking for ways to sustain research infrastructure. They won't admit it, but they are all experts in their roles, and we are searching for ways to take their panel on tour with me as their manager. The partnership with NCI's Policy Research Center, the knowledge and support each staff member there has provided to the tribal partners, the research review board members, through the research that benefits Native peoples training. Working with Simone to finalize and print the Sichangu Oyate tribal community profile through the supplement grant in my first year, and traveling to Rosebud to work with Simone in the health board administration. Thinking about the work that occurs here with the CRCAIH team, strategic planning, mentoring, and technical assistance. Trying to find more ways to create a presence on social media. We actually set meetings to evaluate the insight and impressions and how we can be more engaging with viewers. Always thinking about the way to build and maintain relationships, networking both within Sanford, the state, and on a national level. I was not part of CRCAIH when they were first getting their feet wet, but I have learned to jump right into the work, and honestly, I can say I love it. I look forward to monthly calls and updates from our tribal partners. I know the amount of work on their plate and do what I can to help them from afar, as do the other team. We rely on email, conference calls, and Skype meetings that don't always go as planned, but we know the work continues and it gets accomplished. Excuse me. I joined the CRCAIH team in 2015 under Dr. Victoria Grail as part of the Community Engagement Innovation Division. As I mentioned, I was able to dive right into the work with our tribal partners, and only 2 months in, I attended the 4th annual CRCAIH Summit held in Spirit Lake. I immediately came to understand the importance of community engagement as it applies to research in tribal communities working collaboratively with our partners, and how today we continue to search for innovative ways to educate and engage tribal communities, researchers, stakeholders about the importance of research in tribal communities and the value of data governance and sovereignty. I also think about storytelling, and for me, those are built relationships. You start with an intro, who you are, your background, and each chapter holds a moment, an event, a meeting, laughter and learning, and soon enough memories you want to end each chapter with. I think for me, each chapter of my CRCAIH story, that's still a work in progress, would be titled with names, work trips, and tribal communities. Heather, and attending the Engage for Equity workshop last fall and needing to create a historical timeline of CRCAIH through an activity called the River of Life. And we had to throw Mini Wichoni Water as Life into our river as Lakota Dakota women. I think about DenYelle and how many times our path crossed before 2015, as we both realized in the last few months that we were both freshmen at the University of Minnesota in 1997. Recording my first Inside CRCAIH with Chad, and it also becoming a blooper that we still laugh about and that Heinzman still has on her computer. How last year's SURE intern set the bar for future students with her knowledge, willingness to learn, and overall dedication to the internship. Our first tribal partner retreat in Pierre started with memories of motherhood, not our educational background. And to me, that is trust, that is building relationships. A small group of us traveled to Turtle Mountain to attend the second Data Matters conference recently. It was just so awesome to see the emphasis on data and how it should and will benefit their community. But I know chapter 1 would most definitely be titled Dr. Victoria Grail. I can still remember my first official day at Sanford, my first meeting scheduled for an hour with Victoria in her office. But we sat for a little over 3 hours talking about the work she had done at Black Hills State, her transition to Sanford, her work with obesity, diabetes, and our tribal communities. She shared her love for her family through stories, her Seneca upbringing, and the sweet vivid memories she shared growing up in Ohio. I was like, I could do this morning. I practiced at 5 a.m. I did. We talked about our families, the health disparities our loved ones face. She shared pictures of all her great grandbabies in Crow Creek, and of course, I shared a picture, 20 of my babies. Next thing I knew, I had still had coffee in my cup, which is rare if you know me, and we headed off to lunch. I would come to learn and respect her drive and energy. She was working with tribal communities, making an impact, whether on a partner call, an in-person meeting, or sharing an article, book, or website about community engagement. She always brought the work back to culture, being respectful of each tribe, each tribal member. She is passionate about her work so much that as we are in our 6th year of CRCAIH, we have decided to honor Dr. Grail. Although I only got 2 years to work under Dr. Grail before her retirement last fall. I hope I carry on the work. So Victoria, will you please join us?
You're doing great.
And I have tissue.
Good. So we can do this. So again, as looking back, we considered what do we honor and what are we especially thankful for, and we decided to do something new and establish this award, which will be known moving forward as the Dr. Victoria Grail Community Engaged Research Award. So when I think of Dr. Grail, I think of someone who's dedicated her life's work to American Indian health issues, dietary wellness, obesity, and diabetes prevention. I wanted to share a visual from Jessica Heinzman with her work with Victoria in the field doing cooking classes with parents and kids. So the most fun image is hearing how Victoria doing the fit card activities with the kids, doing actions like monkey, frog, flamingo to get them to do fun physical activity. After CRCAIH was established, Victoria received an R13 grant to hold community conferences in Pine Ridge and Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. So these were wonderful meetings where research was shared, and Cheyenne River continues their conference every year, which is actually next week. And as mentioned yesterday, these conferences have spawned subsequent conferences in Turtle Mountain for the past 2 years. Victoria was not always the loudest person in the meeting room. She was often quietly listening and reflecting, and when she talks, then everyone listens. Indeed, she was the one you wanted in the room to brainstorm new grants. I still remember back when I started, Victoria was still at Black Hills State University, and we would hold conference calls, and we would have the most fascinating discussions linking body image, nutrition to adolescent risk behavior. So even though we never got that grant idea off the ground, I was really amazed at her ability to make connections between seemingly disparate concepts. Victoria, if you know her, is a big proponent of community-based participatory research. She was most proud of her engagement she had with Sisseton-Waupun and Oyate and the other tribal partners, and she would often have them start the conversation, and she listened and took their lead. She often spoke about how transdisciplinary research with American Indian communities is relevant, holistic, and takes a relationship approach, always promoting sustainability. Some of the her high points in CRCA were tribal partner retreats and working in communities, where she offers an exemplar of how that collaborative work can be done. You can see in these pictures just the pride that she has in supporting her partner presenter at the summit in Rapid City. Victoria will always be known for sensitivity and generosity of spirit. So I don't know if you want to speak and say a few words. Great.
Well, here, guys. I want to say thank you very much, and I'm the one that cries, and I guess, you know, with this whole year being about women, I think it's like, you know, that fits in too. You know, there's a deep feeling in my heart for all our communities. There's a need of some kind of how can I say, deliberate purpose for us now, just in the way that things are changing worldwide, things that are changing in the United States, and then changes in our own nations. And I think it's very important that we now take a lead in terms of what it is in research that our communities really need to move forward. And I think that one of the things that really motivated me with CRCA has been the idea of the communities having that voice, that equal voice in the research process, and coming into the communities and assisting as we can in terms of helping them to identify what their real needs are. As most of you have heard, you know, a lot of times that it's a twofold education piece. It's not only educating researchers who are not familiar with our various cultures and protocols, as well as within our own communities who have not all have seen or have only had the negative experience of what research may have done to their communities in the past. And so I think that CRCA has tried its best to help bridge those inequities that have been going on. And I'm grateful to have that part. And I want to say that after listening yesterday for, it seemed like, I guess it was all day, for our tribal partners to speak, I'm really very happy and proud and thankful that we have a leadership of young women that are working in our research offices in their community and are trying to assist as best they can with the staffing and the different challenges that they have in each of their own communities. And I really am saying that this really is for them and for the staff that I had, because without their vision and heartfelt need in their own communities, that was so much expressed with Melissa, with Jen, with Jessica. It was demonstrated, and they've already given back, and that was demonstrated yesterday. And I hope, and I know it will continue. Thank you.